I'm Dave, I'm the briefer for this now. Jordan.
That's weird. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna just get us recording.
Okay.
And then, okay, I think we got this. Yeah. Well, first, welcome everyone. Welcome, Rishit. Did I say it right? Rishit. Nice. Thanks for joining us online. We're excited to talk about another way to use, to create passive income through real estate without really getting your hands dirty at all. We just kind of we talked about the flip in January, which is like the least passive, and then we talked about private money lending last month. So I was talking about that, and then I think as we move to more passive, like if you really just don't even want to do any underwriting necessarily, I mean you still have to underwrite the deal, but if you just want to be like as removed as possible, collect your checks, I think syndications can be a really good option for you. And so Dave, for those who were here last month, you chatted a little bit about that at the private money lending discussion, and it was just like, let's talk more about this and learn more about what syndications are. I think many of us have heard about them as a great way to scale your portfolio, even though you're in a group of other lenders, but for those people that like vanity metrics of like, oh, I own 1,000 doors or whatever, you can certainly tout those.
Which, by the way, is a terrible metric, terrible. Trust me.
Yeah, it's not all about door count and vanity metrics, but so we are Suzanne and Sarah. Woo-hoo! Smile for the camera, Sarah. Yeah. So we're realtors here in beautiful Bend, Oregon, and beyond. And you're in our office. This is the Realty One Group Discovery office, and then we also started the Central Oregon Investor Network 5 years ago as a way to do this, to create community, to bring together investors, not only from Central Oregon, so we'll hear where you're from, Rishit, and a lot of times we've had people from all over, Oregon, Washington, California, like as far as, like we had someone on from Oklahoma.
Canada.
Nice.
Yeah, Canada, so we're international too. But, we just want to help everyone create more passive income, ideally, from real estate investments and create more freedom in our lives. So we're both investors ourselves. So we're adding doors, we're selling doors, we're lending money, and we're learning along the way. So neither of us have ever done a syndication, which is why it's so great to have Dave and Melissa Webb here from Afterburner Equity. So they'll be your guest speakers today. And for those who are not already on our email list, I know you guys probably are, you may not be, Jordan, but that QR code will take you to our link to get onto our weekly top picks email list. So Sarah and I, as investment realtors, we go through the MLS, all the listings every single week, and we're looking for like the best investment deals. Are they always going to cash flow? No. We are more of an appreciation market here in Central Oregon, but we're looking for the best ones every single week, and we write the content and we tell you why we think it might be a good deal, and everyone's goals are different. So you can get on that.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
I'm just curious, I wasn't able to make the Tuesday meetings.
Power Hour.
I'm just wondering how they're going. Are they going well?
Really fun. This week was especially awesome, and Holly was there, so she can tell you. Welcome, Holly. So we were actually with Landon Moore, not related to me, but we share the same last name. He is a sub-2 expert, sub-2 creative financing expert, and he's also relatively experienced in buying and managing sober living homes. So he just closed on one here in Bend, and so we actually got to go to that property this week. We had a huge term, sober living. So it's essentially, it's kind of in between, like someone maybe goes to rehab for drug or alcohol addiction, and then they need to be in an environment where they're surrounded by other people on that journey. And so that's really what sober living is all about, is putting people together. It's almost always single gender, so this I think is going to be
male,
men's sober living home over in Northeast Bend. And he just wanted to showcase the project of turning it from a 5-bedroom duplex into a 7-bedroom sober living home, and why it met all the criteria that he looks for in those types of properties. So it was an awesome turnout, just really great networking too. There's people in there doing deals together, and that's always our goal, is to bring people together to make more money and have fun together and get to know each other and just become friends, like colleagues.
So that's another kind of co-living model, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Tuesdays over.
Tuesdays 4 to 6 here in our office, so it's always live. So unfortunately for you, Rashid, unless you live here in South Oregon, anyone online, we don't do the hybrid model for the Tuesday Power Hour series in the summer.
It's more of an organic format. It's
Yeah.
not really scripted in any way.
Yeah.
It's really more networking and just deal analysis. And
Yeah.
it's fun though.
It's great. So please join us if you're at all interested in coming into that. So I'll just get us rolling on our agenda, and then I'm going to have to switch to another presentation, which will be fun. So the agenda that Dave and Melissa are going to talk us through is we always just like to do an intro so everyone knows who's who, and hopefully you can get each other's contact info. We do have a sign-in sheet. If you want to put your contact info in the chat, we'll make sure to add you to our Central Oregon Investor Network Facebook page so you can connect with other investors locally there as well. And then Dave and Melissa will talk about their story, an overview of syndications, what it means to be a limited partner in a syndication. There's two, there's general partners and limited partners. That's kind of all I know. And then he'll go through some deal examples. So we'll just roll right into intros. So Rashid, since you're on the screen, we would love to hear from you. Awesome. 408, is that California?
Sorry, were you saying something?
Oh, are you in California?
I am, yeah.
Nice.
I'm in Bay Area, California. I was just curious about syndication. I recently started looking into it. So I found this one meetup online. So that's how I decided to, that's how I ran into you guys. But yeah, I have been looking into different areas for the passive income and tax saving. I don't know if syndication helps with the tax saving, but yeah, passive income for sure. That's something I'm looking into. By profession, I'm a computer engineer. I work at Meetup, and yeah, I have been in the area for a while, for five years, I think. And yeah, now I have one property that's rental, long-term rental, but I am looking more into diversifying into syndication and short-term rentals and stuff like that. So more real estate is what I'm looking into. But yeah, I'm just curious. I don't know anything about syndication. I'm looking forward to hear you guys and learn more.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm glad you found us. All right. Cheryl?
My name is Cheryl Wakeford. I'm actually from Austin, Texas, but we fell in love with Bend about 4 years ago. And so we bought a house, kind of hacked a house a couple years ago, rehabbed it. And so now we're here for the summers. And we're trying to move here probably next year. But I've done real estate for about 10 years. I've done flips, I've done owner finance, I've done new construction, and I'm an LP. I'm an LP in
Nice.
one deal.
Sweet.
So yeah, just trying to learn more and also just meet people here and get a feel for the market here.
Yeah.
See
That's
what's
what's
new
great,
there.
right? To just meet other folks that are doing what you do.
Yeah, I'm in a lot of real estate investor groups in Austin, and actually there's one. It used to be multifamily investing, now it's commercial investing, but there's still a lot of old guys that just a lot of them made their money in tech, right? And they just just put it onto LP and all kinds of deals. And then Brad Sumrock out of Dallas is really big down there. So there's a ton of multifamily stuff down there.
Fantastic area to do all that, so fantastic.
Good. John?
My name is John Tarantino, and I've been in Bend about 7 years, actually it'll be about 8 years in October. I have about 20 years experience doing property management, and that started with a small piece of property I bought in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. I self-managed that. I managed some other properties too for my family. And when I moved here, right before I moved here, I got my property management license. So I've got experience in property management. Just now moving into the investor phase. So, and I have never invested in a syndication before. but I'm open to that. That's why I'm here, just kind of learning everything and as much as I can about real estate investing. And so, yeah, really thankful for Sarah and Suzanne to provide this kind of forum. It's great. And, yeah, so happy to be here. Thanks, you guys.
Love that you keep coming back.
Yeah.
Right, Jordan.
My name is Jordan Hess. I'm a professional helicopter pilot. I work here in Bend. We moved here about 3 years ago, and we bought our first house. Lately, I'm into personal development. I've been reading a lot of like success habits and stuff, and this book that I'm reading, everybody's talking about real estate investment and Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm like, well, I should probably look into that. So I just looked up real estate on Meetup, and here you guys are.
Yes.
Thanks
What
for
book are
having
you
me.
reading?
It's called Success Habits of Super Achievers.
Ooh, all right.
Kyle Wilson has a bunch of
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
so.
Nice. Well, we are so glad that you found us. It's a good community. We've been together for like 4 years. So a lot, I mean, not everybody, but yeah, we've been doing this for a long time, which is, I mean, a long time. But it's been really fun. So you have a home here.
Yeah, and personal development is something we're very passionate
Oh, yeah,
about as well.
absolutely.
So, I mean, like, that's a big part of, I think, people who are successful in this industry, I think, have to get right with themselves first, you know? So, step one. So, congratulations. What's up, Holly? Let's talk to you.
Sorry.
I'm Holly Lyons, been in Bend for 10 years, and, short story, so right now I'm flipping houses. That replaces my active income, because I quit my W-2 in April.
And you're happier than ever, and you look amazing, and I can tell that you quit your job. Just honestly, like,
I
last
no
time I
longer
saw her,
have-
it's like she's glowing, like
Like,
something's
I
different.
only have to shower a couple times a week
Oh.
to do my makeup. It's fantastic.
So good.
So if you can do it, do it. And then other than that, I would call myself kind of like a baby investor. I'm investing. I am also trading in the market. I'm also doing peer-to-peer lending. I'm looking to take on some rentals. I'm actually like, as soon as the current flip sells, that money is going to go into buy and hold. Haven't identified that yet. Also looking for another flip opportunity or hold here in the local area. Just a lot of like spending all the same time. I like them all. I like all the places.
Very good. Good. Cool. All right. Scoot
Barbara.
back over.
Yeah.
Well, I just came in at the right time.
Yep.
Barbara Wise, kind of got my hand in lots of different things. I actually worked for a Coldwell Banker in Redmond, but wasn't satisfied just with the on market. I went off market this year, and so my partner and I, Emma, we do wholesale innovation, fix and flips. We're just now kind of stepping into a little bit of step 2, which that has kind of really been fun. But we're in all of it, and I'm also a PML. I'm so interested in syndication. Just want to take one more step and learn one more thing. So.
Absolutely. That's very good. For sure.
Cool.
Melissa?
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
Melissa Webb. I'm Dave's wife, so I'm
Sorry.
he's the mastermind and kind of the brains of the whole thing. I work more on content management. I run our social media accounts, that type of thing. So I also I'm a part-time traffic engineer here in Bend, and then we have 2 kids, one in college who's not terribly needy, and then another who's starting high school. So I am also a personal Uber driver while she lives her best life. So that keeps me very busy. All of that together, lots of plates.
Yes. Time to spread thin, which is kind of what we do for this. All right. We're going to switch over.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, here we go. This is going to be a crash course and beginning or intro to syndications from the LP perspective, limited partner, the person, the investor type of thing. So I'm Dave, our company Afterburner Equity, and here we go. This is what we're going to talk about today, those 4 things. So here's the background, the story, our story. So I started as a military aviator back in the day, and I did that for many years, and then we decided to cancel that and come to Bend. So we have been living in Bend for about 20 years now. We love it and get involved in the outdoor activities and things like that, and we had slideshow failure.
It's
Lose my next,
okay.
I know, lose my next bullet.
Don't
The,
even worry about it.
Just kidding, you got it. So after that, though, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and we really do enjoy the family thing, as my wife mentioned. We had a daughter in college, and so that's a picture of us at her last event. She's headed the military aviation route herself, going to fly drones for a living for a couple of years at least minimum 6, sounds like. Air Force has taken her to do 6 years, and so we had a military ball event there in, what was that, April. Got it. And the last thing we get a little passionate about is in our neighborhood, we run a community outreach for Toys for Tots. So we do that through our light show every year. So we run a light show for Halloween and for Christmas. So if you like video, music, and lights, swing by. We're in Northeast Ori, or Northeast Bend, across from the Pine Nursery area. So a lot of ridges for you real estate developers or real estate folks. So you can't miss it. It'll be the flashy light thing at night. So absolutely. All right, next slide. Perfect. So how do we get our start? Like a lot of you, we want to get out of the rat race. Got to find a way to do it. Got to find something you're passionate about and that you don't mind doing as a side job until you can get rid of that first job. So this is what brought us here today. So we did our research, friends, family, books, podcasts, the standard methods of finding out about stuff in our present day world. But we also knew from, like a lot of you do, go find someone who does this. Get a mentor so they can keep you out of the fire from making too many mistakes on your own when you're out there on your own, especially in syndications and some of these bigger commercial deals that we'll talk about in a little bit. So we did that. Eric Upchurch is our mentor. Found him through the Rod Thief program, which is a fantastic program for us, and because it's very family oriented and it's a forever role, so you can forever stay there and build relationships and stuff like that. Found my role, which was a capital raiser. That's my section of the deal. So when we talk, I won't talk about GP team stuff today, which is the management team, but on that team I do the capital raising for, or there's multiple of us doing the capital raising for multiple deals sometimes.
And to clarify, for those that don't know, GP stands for
General Partner, which is on the next slide, maybe? Perfect, maybe. All right. Oh, one more thing I want to put on, one down one slide. So this is kind of a fun little thing that your network becomes your net worth. If you don't believe in that, you are freaking crazy. So, sorry, the personal opinion. But yes, so this is why we do things like this. We get to know people, get to build relationships, trust, and then we can all work together to press forward with our net worth individually, which is great. A lot of fun. Team play. I like it. All right, next slide, please. Maybe number 5. All right, so what is it? Syndication is a fun way to just say, hey, a bunch of us got together and we're going to buy this property. That's really what it turns into. There's a management group, which is the general partners there. And of course, you have the limited partners, which are the investors to the deal. They help do the capital raise portion of it and all the costs associated with acquiring the particular asset that you're involved in.
Do general partners usually put their own money into a deal?
We're going to talk about that too.
Okay.
I highly recommend that. And we'll foot stomp this again. I highly do recommend you work with a team that is doing that. So,
because that means they have skin in the game, yeah.
That phrasing, I think, is on one of the slides exactly like that. So LP groups, we tend to break them into accredited and sophisticated. Easy way, most of you I think probably know what an accredited investor is. SEC has rules on that. You have an income requirement there for $200,000 to $300,000 a year annually, or $1 million in assets.
How does someone get accredited? Is there a governing body?
Yeah,
Is it
it's
just
defined by the SEC.
word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Securities
So
Commission.
where would they go to do that?
Define. Get accredited.
Well, like,
Yeah. So okay, I see what you're saying.
process or?
Not really. So if you come talk to me as a capital raiser, right? You go, I'm credited. I just believe you until it comes time to actually deposit funds. Then you kind of have to prove there's a process involved in that where you submit documentation proving that you are accredited.
Is it similar to getting a bank loan or something like that? Is it, I mean, do they really like
Oh,
scrutinize?
no. It's like, hey, what's your bank account? What type of assets? You just got to prove that kind of stuff.
So you're disclosing a lot of private information.
Yes, exactly. That's why we use platforms that can handle that kind of stuff.
So, and you're saying that you have to be, is it worth 200,000?
Earning 200,000 or 200,000
For the last.
if you're single, 300,000 if you're married, filing jointly. I believe that's how that works.
For 2 years.
Annually, from 2 years.
And that's
Exactly.
your income.
It's your
And
income.
the assets can't be, that part of that million can't be your personal residence.
Exactly.
Oh.
Thank you for that. That's actually a key detail.
I was just
Can't
gonna
be-
ask that.
Yep, can't be a personal residence. So, and when we do syndications, they break into those Security Commission rules under Regulation D. Very technical, but bottom line is most of the time you'll see a 506B or C. And B means that you have to first off have an existing relationship with those people for them to be able to tell you about it. And then there can only be 35 sophisticated investors in there, so non-accredited in that particular syndication. And then for a C syndication, it's only accredited investors only. So.
And why do they distinguish between those? What is it to protect people from?
Yeah, that's basically the
predatory thing, like.
SEC, I guess, thinks that if you don't have $1 million in assets and can't make $200,000 a year, that you might make bad decisions with your investments. So that's kind of really the reason why they have these two categories.
Okay.
It's kind of what it boils down to.
But if somebody invested their money and they lost it, there's no recourse. I mean, you're always taking a risk with everything.
Sure.
Right?
Every investment's a risk, absolutely.
I just don't understand why you have to jump to that hoop. And because once you put your money in, then it's like you're either going to get a return or you're going to lose it or whatever.
The syndications tend to play at a larger lump sum income type thing, so that's probably why they have a few protections in place for that kind of
It's
stuff.
more like protecting the investor.
Exactly, that's exactly what it's for.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times they're like a minimum 100,000 in.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't want people.
I've seen them at 50, but minimum 100 is pretty standard-ish, I would
So
say.
they don't want someone to come back and say, hey, I lost all my money, I'm broke, I'm going to be on the street.
Right. Shouldn't be investing money you need to stay floating anyways, honestly, but that's a whole other side topic. All right, so that's kind of what is a syndication in technical terms. And like I said, we're kind of drilling down on the LP side of things as well. So for the next part, if you've never really been involved with syndication, usually there's a deal sourcing followed by some capital raising or deposits. Generally like to kind of capital raise all the time, expand your network like I talked about earlier. So when it does some time for that investment, there are things available and you have investors waiting in the wings because as you guys know, negotiating for the closing up front is better when you have all the money in place. You have a lot more leverage. So that's what we prefer to try to do. Doesn't always work out that way. So the flip side of that coin is, hey, we got this deal. Now we're going to find money for it. Let's go. That can happen too. So then from there, once you have all that stuff put together, you go through closing. After closing, then of course you execute the business plan, you operate, which is where your GP team comes in. And throughout the operations, you're getting distributions as a limited partner, we hope. However, that if it's not doing that, that's usually spelled out front. Usually it is spelled out like, hey, first year we're not going to do this because we're doing renovations. We can get man in that kind of situation. So that's totally in the documentation, and you can absolutely ask those questions of the sponsorship team if you want to. So you get the business plan, you run the length of time, whatever it is, usually 5-ish years. Then there's an event, refinance, sale, and that's how you get the rest of your capital back. And so we'll break that down a little bit more later on. And of course, profit and return at the end, which is where everybody celebrates because we made a bunch of money. I love it.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
And maybe you'll talk about this later. What percentage do you get as distributions versus at the event of refinance or sale?
Ooh, we're totally gonna break that down.
Okay, cool.
I promise. All right. So why does everybody like it? Well, as we've talked about already, lazy man's way to make money. Yes, love it. Not a lot to do, too much. So you just you put your money in, you invest, and it is less flexible. So there is a time frame. You put your money in. It's the time frame, whatever it's going to be, 3 to 7 years is typically what we advertise for commercial real estate syndications of this. And throughout that time frame, you're getting distributions, but you're also taking the tax advantages. And I don't want to drill into funds, but I know you and I talked about it earlier. There's less tax advantages. You might be able to rig it, but I don't think if you use a fund, you can't get those back to the investor as well. However, if you go direct syndication, you absolutely get all that stuff. So,
Can you clarify what stuff?
The tax advantages.
So depreciation?
Which, yes, we'll talk about that too as well. Here's where you 5 years, let's say, of the syndication. So 70%, 70-30 means 70% of the cash is going to the investors and only 30% to the operations and GP type of stuff. So oftentimes though, you use up all your cash doing the 70 or 80 split side of that, so the investors get all their money before the GP team gets paid. Sometimes they can't take anything because there's no money left occasionally, so that happens. The preferred versus common, you can pay a premium to become a preferred investor. And on the next slide, we're going to talk about capital stack and show you how that kind of plays out. So I'll explain that here in a second. And then of course, when you sell, you have the equity upside. So we kind of do a forced appreciation, usually in a value add type of situation, to like you guys do in Bend, like your appreciation for your flips and so on and so forth. So we really love that. All right, next slide. Okay. This is going to be a little bit interesting. So this is what we call a capital stack, and highest is unfortunately on the bottom, lowest is on the top. And this is who gets paid when. Okay, so in a given month, I have to cover all my expenses and my debt. So that is what we call senior debt. It's like the bank first position. Everybody likes that stuff. They get paid first. Second person to get paid is whoever is holding the mezzanine debt, which is like bridge debt. And then we talked about it earlier. The next people to get paid is the preferred equity investors, and they do tend to pay a premium for that. The sponsor team will set aside 6 to 8% of the deal, 6% or 6 to 8% of the equity. I'm sorry, to be preferred, and you can buy into that if it's $100,000 minimum. Usually, we'll say preferred is like you got to buy in at $250,000 to get paid first, so that kind of stuff can exist. And then you have everybody else, which we call common equity. So that's how how everybody gets paid in a syndication. Any questions on that? Because I think we're going to talk about that. Actually, no, we're not going to cover that again. I don't think so.
You said the preferred equity is the people that paid a premium.
Usually.
Is that a standard rate point? What is that?
No, so the investor is paying a premium to get paid first. It's not anything so.
So how much is the premium? That's what I mean. Like,
oh no, the return is still the same. It's just that.
How much is the premium they pay?
You said
250,000. Let's say.
If the minimum is 100, then they put in 200. Then they become preferred.
Oh, so it's
just like the minimum can float value, the premium can float as well. Depends with the sponsorship team. I mean, if the minimum for a syndication deal buy-in at the common equity level is 100, the preferred equity buy-in might be 250, 200, 300. You just don't know.
So it's not like a premium, like they're paying a fee.
No, they're just that you need to invest more.
Like more.
Sorry, premium was maybe the wrong word, but you get to invest more to get basically jump your place in line.
Okay. I've also seen it structured where like there's a group A, group B, and then the preferred is group A, and
yes.
they get 10% every single month, and they don't get any of the back end.
Right.
And like the non-preferred gets maybe 7% every month. They get the back end.
Correct.
But then if they're out of money that month, like they don't get that payment if
Exactly.
they're low on money.
So these syndications, they do tend to be deal specific, and their structures vary. So you need to be reading the fine print for the investor side to understand where the money's coming from, when you get paid, and what levels there are. A, B, common, preferred. It's all wrapped up in all the documentation for that specific syndication. So.
And common and preferred are still limited partners.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Oh, Rashid, sorry. It looked like Rashid had a question too.
I'm sorry, Rashid, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. The voice is a little bit not very clear, so I missed the senior debt and mezzanine debt. Are they GPs and who are they? Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Senior debt is the bank, usually. Almost always is the bank. So they're the one holding the note on the property, they have the loan. And then mezzanine debt is probably equivalent to like what would be bridge debt or a bridge lender. So if you came up short on a capital raise, say you need $7 million and you got 5, the team will try to assess like, I'm gonna take a $2 million bridge debt and then finish the capital raise after we close, type of thing. So that can happen. So that's that.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
No problem, absolutely. Okay, appreciation. Oh yes, we might have a few questions on this slide. The appreciation in commercial real estate is so vastly different from residential that it borders on the insane, to be honest with you, because I talk to people about this like, wait, you can really do that? I'm like, yeah, we really do that. So in commercial, we have the ability, and this is where choosing your team becomes really important. We have the ability to absolutely control the property value inside our own selves. It'd be like you going for your flip and say, I'm gonna flip this, I'm gonna make X number of dollars. I think like you can control the value of your own real estate. So this depends completely on these 3 things, or 2 things actually. Your net operating income, because we operate like a business. So as much money, your net profit or your net income is driving the price of your property. And the cap rate is just a kind of a market value statistic, so it just goes down with the market a little bit. Doesn't move quite as fast. So if you make $100,000 a month in net operating income. Standard cap rate, let's say it's 5 or 6%. $100,000 divided by 6%, that's the price of your property. It's that simple. So that's your value. And so what we do in a value add situation is we work really hard to either increase the income, raise rents, add laundry facilities, renovations, whatever you want to call it, and reduce our expenses to create more NOI, thus a larger price of the property, assuming the cap rates remain the same. It's kind of like a forced appreciation in that sense. And value add is a fun way to say slow flip or slow flip. Because what do you get? What's the residential flip time frame? What do you guys like to see?
Less than 3 months.
Less than 3 months? So we have like the 5-year flip is what you're like, oh my God, that's so long. So, but then of course the last thing that goes into it is a cap rate, which we don't have a lot of control over per se. That's why there's a risk mitigation for that in a later slide. Then of course, as we all know, economic factors affect the appreciation of where we buy. So growth, location, very familiar with that here in Bend.
What, in the last 24 months, what economic factors have changed where your syndication has bought?
I would say we pay close attention to incoming jobs, businesses. We look for places where big businesses go in. Meta, for one. We watch where Meta goes. We watch where, who else are some of the big manufacturers that go out there, put in plants, facilities, manufacturing, because they'll bring jobs. Thus, there will be a shortage of housing. So you can either build or acquire and renovate, all those types of things. So that's a big, huge market condition. We want people coming in, not people going out. Average income going up as well, but also growth in population. So,
what places have you stopped investing?
Any type of state like Washington, Oregon, California.
Oregon?
Yeah, unfortunately. And here's the reason why, is because a lot of our sponsors work with multifamily, and so they don't like to deal with the renter side of things in terms of our state.
The tenant-friendly states.
Yeah, that's a nice way to say it, so thank you.
Landlord unfriendly state.
Yes, so landlord-friendly states is really what most multifamily investors prefer in our teams that we work with, so that's kind of where you'll see a lot of that happening. The Floridas, the Texas, Midwest, Arizona, also those types of states. So.
I really don't like that word, landlord.
It's terrible, isn't it?
I always
It's
tell
terrible.
people, I'm the property manager. I'm the owner, but I'm the property.
Right.
I work for you, in a sense. And then they're always like, oh, okay, we're partners, We have shared interests. So,
Please
anyway.
don't trash my property.
Yes, exactly.
That I manage.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about tax stuff here now. When it comes to taxes, everybody go get yourself CPA, because this is going to be so individualistic to everybody. When they get into a deal, you may get into it just because of taxes to save yourself some extra deductions there. So these are generally the 4 categories that tax advantages for syndications fall into. I am not an expert at all of them. I know what they are, but like I said, each person has to go through and figure it out for themselves with their CPA or financial advisors. So we have standard depreciation, which is 39 years. Straight line, bonus depreciation, which kind of plays into what we call a cost segregation study, where we go and analyze all the buildings and reclassify them as depreciated. And if we're lucky, we can use that to get a bonus depreciation of 100% in the first year, which is fantastic for that 5-year plan of having all our investors there, pass that all on to them, and they like that. And then on the backside, capital gains for long-term hold tend to be a little less, but again, talk to your folks who advise you financially. So, but those are the 4 categories. Any questions on those categories?
Is 39 standard for commercial property?
It's 27 for residential, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And a half.
And a half. Yeah, there you go. And a half.
I just didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a little,
Okay.
it's things, different rules, I guess.
Alright.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw that too. It's like, it's 39, really?
I mean, I thought 27 and a half was a weird number. So
Evidently, they think commercial buildings last longer than residential ones for some reason.
yeah.
What about 1031 exchanges into syndication?
Yes, totally possible. I do think we talk about that maybe somewhere else. But yes, absolutely. You can 1031, check with the sponsor team before you identify your property or attempt that. So, or you work with people that say, hey, You know, are they doing this? Do they take 1051 exchanges? Because that's another level of paperwork the team has to deal with.
So
Management
not
team.
all syndications allow people to
Correct.
1031 in.
Right. So a syndication isn't like a set model monitored or governed by anybody. It's totally set up by the sponsor team and what they write into the documentation, which is why you have to read it every single time. So there's some generalized, you know, hey, this is how we always do it type of stuff, but yeah, always read those, always. Or have your lawyer read them, which is probably better, honestly. All right, so now we're gonna start getting into the more important stuff here, my favorite one, choosing the right team. The team, because as a limited partner, remember, you don't have operational control of this asset, which is a vastly different situation than you're probably used to dealing with in the residential side, where you can make all the decisions, you know, about the money, where it goes, the tenants, all that kind of stuff. You're totally on board just for the ride. So these guys are kind of controlling your future to a certain degree, and there's not a lot of exit plans when you're in a syndication for the LP. Experience, gotta know, work with a team that has a lot of experience. The team we're on now, 39 deals deep, working on our 40th, so a lot of experience in that team. Transparency, they don't hide from your questions, even the hard ones that you have. Hey, this looks like total trash, tell me why, you know? Or hey, this looks fun, is there anything behind it? You know, those types of things. Can you send me your numbers? They should be able to send you all that stuff. There's no reason they shouldn't. So unless it's, they won't send you information on the other investors in the deal, but on the deal itself and the asset, they will should be able to send it to you. Do they invest in the deal? Do they believe in it? Absolutely. They don't put their money in the game. Why would you put yours in the game type of thing? So again, the teams we work with, we all go in with our own money on top of having to do the work too, which is great. And then the underwriting. This is a little trickier and this will take more time to identify what a conservative assumption really means in underwriting for a particular asset class, multifamily, self-storage, whatever asset class you decide to get involved with. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. I do have some examples of that. And usually that involves things like what happens when the interest rate goes higher or lower on your loan? What happens if you have more or less vacancy than you're expecting? What's your break-even vacancy rates for each year that you're in the syndication, those types of things. So if they don't look at that kind of stuff, they're probably not planning to fail or planning to watch out for market changes and stuff like that. So there's ways to do that kind of stuff.
What's a reasonable threshold for experience?
For team experience? From the LP's perspective, you don't want to go in with first timers. Obviously, that makes just total sense. Most people, GPs I talk with, say by the time they get to 3 to 5 turns, either acquisitions, because acquisitions last 5 years, so they'll get into like 3 or 4 or 5 acquisitions deep. Then they're starting to kind of get the hang of it, and they're really starting to turn the deals or close the deals. So if they can close 5 deals, then I would say, yeah, they probably have enough experience to continue to operate, and they haven't lost any. So you can always ask them that. Did you make money on your deals?
I would ask their track record on those last 5 deals.
Right, exactly. So I have almost all my investors, hey, with a track record. So hey, sponsor, what's your track? He's like, I don't have it exactly, but here's the last, 39 deals. He's never lost any money from anybody, which is great.
When somebody invests, Dave, do they, if they invest in the syndicate, are they investing in everything that syndicate controls and operates, or do they divide it down into certain specific, like, I'm investing in this specific deal within this syndicate?
Right, so what we're briefing today is what we call direct syndication. There is only a single asset that all the money's going into. Okay, so you'll know exactly what that asset is, you'll have an address for it. You can go by and say, hey, I want to go tour this, make sure it's real, see it, pull it up on Google Earth. Hey, maybe it's local, maybe you can drive by it, maybe you want to fly out there. So they should be able to accommodate all of that. They may even have open tour days, virtual tour days, those types of things. So you can ask for all of it. Why not, right? It's your money going in the deal. That's what I would do if it was me on my LP side. It's like, hey, show me that this is real, type of thing. So, and the other questions on team type stuff.
But you'll talk about what those conservative assumptions and underwriting.
Yeah, in the deal analysis, there's a section in the underwriting I pulled up just to show that. So. All right, here's a little bit more. Vacancy, what could go wrong? Whoops. Guess what happens when you don't have any tenants? You also don't have any income. A little tough to recover from that. So you try to underwrite conservatively, know where your boundaries are at, so you can see if things are starting to progress in the wrong direction. That's really what conservative underwriting is about. And like you guys all do on your residential stuff, if things start going the wrong way, you identify that as early as you possibly can. You're like, so you can either apply corrective measures or make an exit if you have to, those types of things. Market shifts. Because you're in it for 3 to 7 years, this is why we are so heavy on the market analysis side of things. Incoming jobs, population going up, great area to live in and people want to be there. Like the one we're going to show in a little bit. That one's in St. Peter's, Florida, Tampa, Florida, that's just one of the sub markets there. And then of course the last one is the exit risks, plan multiple strategies. So, all right, that's when you sell at the end.
Like refi or sell.
Refi, sell, those types of things. It could be a deal like, the market's not going to be good in the future, so you may want to sell and get everybody get out of it. When you refi, generally the GPs will stay in the deal because now it's their turn to take everything. Because maybe that first portion, 5 years, they were just returned all the investor money, and now they can all kind of own it as their team in a sense and take the income and so on and so forth. So, like you see the 70-30 split or 80-20 at the end of that event, the refi or the event, usually that flops. So the investors are now getting 30%, and the GP team's taking 70% for the folks that stay in the deal. But, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. In a 70-30 split, okay, so if I take $100,000 and try to split it 70 ways, that's a pretty small piece of the pie. But if I flip it around and try to take 70 investors and put them into 30, that's even worse. But most people refinance out, take their money and go to another syndication. As an LP, if you want to stay in, ask the GP team. Maybe 2 or 3 LPs stay in the deal. Larger piece of the pie for you personally, honestly, less investors in the deal. So, works both ways, just depends what you want to do. All right, here we go. What I love to call the boring metrics, which are really super important for the investor and what you need to know. All right, so folks on the green check mark, here's the text. I'll let you guys kind of read through that so we keep this up a little bit. Average cash flow, that's just for 1 year cash flow, okay? And it's only regarded to your personal initial investment, so, or the initial investment. So capital events and all that stuff, or return of initial is not included in this calculation at all. So if it's a $100,000 investment and you get, in that first year, you get $3,000 back, 3% return that year, right? That's that metric, which looks really terrible. But the next one is where they take all the cash flow over the entire investment and average it into an annual or a full investment cash flow, I like to say. So if you get like 5% the first year, 6%, 8%, 10, 15% over the course of 5 years, they take all that and average it together. And it becomes one cash on cash return, or one annual return, sorry, cash on cash return. Questions on that? All right. And then the gold standard, internal rate of return, which, if you ever could do that on a calculator, not fun. Not fun at all. Get somebody with the spreadsheet skills to make that happen for you. And that just is actually a fantastic way. That number allows you to compare multiple investments with multiple different timelines into your stack. So you do like, oh, I'm looking at 5 deals, but they're all different. I don't understand how to compare them all effectively. What's my actual return between all these things? So that number right there is kind of what helps you do that. It takes time into consideration, your cash flow, capital events, the return of your capital, everything. So that's probably the most helpful if you're comparing multiple investments together in terms of deciding if you're looking for just one. And then the all-time easiest number ever, the equity multiplier. Hey, if I invest 100, I have a 2x multiplier, I get 200 back, or should get 200 back. That's basically the equity multiplier. So, any questions on that one? So that's always put on the slides for the investors. Hey, your equity multiplier or your EM is 1 point this, 2, 3, whatever it is. So that's an easy one to remember. All right, you guys do this for a living, so that's probably not a total surprise, but they're very helpful numbers. All right, so here's our real deal. Here's where we're gonna have a lot of fun and questions, I'm sure. So this is an active deal that we're actually capital raising for right now. 90 unit out of St. Peter's. We're working on a 7, actually I think it's 6 now because we retraded on the price because the seller waited too long. And then we have 8% preferred return with a 250K min buy-in, 70-30 split, 5-year hold. I used an older underwriting, so we don't advertise the most current underwriting because not everybody here knows me. So, all right, next slide, please. Here we go. Here's how it started, right here, right at the top. 14.5 or 14.6 cap at purchase, 6.8, which we will thankfully get reduced over the time of the investment for selling. But it's 90 units and we acquire it at, hey, guess what? You rental people, you love to do it cost by door. There it is. 162 price per unit or cost per door. 8% return over the span and an IRR of 16 with a multiplier of almost 2. So that's kind of your big picture look at it at the initial syndication. All right. Now this is, we probably won't talk too much about this, but this kind of talks about, the loans, where they come from, the percentages, how to split up, uses of the property, uses of the money. You got the purchase price, renovations, closing, CapEx, and then of course the acquisition fee, which you can ask the investor team or the GP team, what's your acquisition fee? Should be somewhere around 1 to 3%. If it's 10, something's funny. Okay, they're taking more money out than they probably should be. So I would question that quite heavily. But it's usually a single digits, always under 5, probably 2-ish, would be my guess. But right here, I circled this and this. So here's the hold period. So when you're looking at an investment, you're like, okay, what's my hold period? How long is my money going to be there? They say 5. All the underwriting means that all the underwriting is tagged at 5 years. However, they 4.5. If they were unlucky, it can drag out to 7. So, but all the underwriting slated for 5. So here's your exit assumptions. They assume that, and remember, here's what we're buying for. They assume they can get the cap down to 5.8, and they want to sell for 250 a unit, 250K. Putting the sale price someplace around 22 million, 22 and a half, something like that. So that's what the goal is, the exit assumption. So when you see the calculations for return of equity and all these other things, that's the assumption they're working with. And so we'll get to the conservative stuff here in a second, which is actually based on all the conservative underwriting they have here. Any questions on this so far? Because this can generate questions sometimes with folks.
So, this is kind of
the numbers are like,
yeah, it's like, I know insurance prices are really high in Florida because of the risk of, hurricanes. So, in the event that a hurricane, let's say a hurricane wiped that out, what do you do in that kind of a situation? And say the insurance company,
your insurance premium payment was paid before it happened.
Yeah, right. But it's I guess disaster relief comes in and federal funding, maybe.
Well, all that. You're talking about a timeline to actually rebuild the entire building. Is really what you're talking about.
Yeah.
In terms of actually getting the money, that's insurance is tied to the purchase and all that kind of stuff. In those areas, like where we're buying now, hurricane insurance is an absolute requirement for just closing the deal.
Right.
You got to prove that you have it.
Right.
Quote, it's active, all that kind of stuff. So when you take over, if you have hurricane that day, I'd hate to close on hurricane day.
Yeah.
Wait a couple of days after.
But you're safe, is what you're saying. You're
right.
Safe. You've got
yes,
the insurance
absolutely. You
in
guys
place.
can watch that too. You can see what the closing is.
Okay.
Hey, do you guys have hurricane insurance? Yes, here it is. Here's our quote. Here's what we're going to work with. These guys are good. Here's the quote. Blah, blah, blah.
What if the insurance company goes bankrupt because too many claims in a certain area over?
Well, that would be after the event, right?
Yeah.
So, but you can prove you had insurance before the event.
Right.
But if they don't pay, that's a whole other situation.
Okay.
So that's.
Yeah.
That's
Could be there.
that's like you can't account for that.
Yeah.
Another company going bankrupt.
Right.
That's why you use reputable people
Right.
to start with. So, yes, ma'am.
I do always struggle with remembering this. Why is the exit cap rate lower?
Because they make an assumption that over the course of the 5 years, the cap rate will lower about 0.08. I think in this one is 0.08 or 0.078 type thing. They they try to use this as the exit price that they get to, okay? And as you increase NOI, remember the formula that price equals NOI divided by cap rate? So they're kind of doing a conservative calculation where they say, here, if we want this price, and my NOI keeps going up, that makes that cap rate change. So that's why they can do that. And then you can take this and make sure that number actually matches what you think you can get in that area. That's kind of a key area too, because they change. Not only do they change with the asset type, they change with the asset class and the location. So all those variants need to be taken into account when you do that.
Can I have one?
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
will add one thing on acquisition fee. 1 to 3 is great. If it's a $60 million deal, it should be closer to 1.
Yes,
If it's a
exactly.
$40
Yeah.
million deal,
Sorry.
it's
Thank you for
120.
clarifying that. Absolutely. As the price scales up, the acquisition fee should go down. Percentage-wise. So I think I heard a hand online. Is Rashid? Go ahead.
Yes, sorry, probably a stupid question. What's the cap rate?
Oh, capitalization rate. Oh man, it's kind of a statistical value for a given type of asset in a given area. If you're thinking residential, the easiest way to think about it is probably similar to like a comp. Because they take and compare how things are selling in a certain area at certain prices and certain NOIs, and they kind of make a statistical value of that. I honestly don't know all the math behind it. That's what they tell me. So I just kind of have to trust people like, hey, there's the cap rate. You can call a broker, and they'll tell you what the cap rate is for a given area. So you can check the team and say, hey, is this cap rate making any sense? Call a broker. They'll tell you, hey, what's the cap rate for a Class C multifamily or Class B storage unit in this area with this address? Oh, okay. Here's what it is. So you can check your team's math on that.
See. Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Question.
Yes, sir.
You said sometimes they can get there in 3, sometimes 7.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it happens in 3 where you're saying like, okay, the value went up to 22 million, we're gonna try and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
How
How did we get there?
How does that play out?
Oh, that plays out because we execute the business plan, or the business plan. The net operating income got there faster than we expected. So remember, what we're talking about is the value of the property depends on the net operating income. So if I get to my destination or my goal net operating income faster than I thought, that means I can meet the market price.
We're done, we're paying everybody out, and
Well, we don't have to. We can go to 5 years. So it just depends what the market's like. If we're going to refinance, maybe the interest rates aren't perfect right now. Maybe they went up. We don't want to do that. We can talk about selling, that type of thing. That'll be up to the management team, how when that exit happens exactly. So, but I tell you, if they go past 5 years, we have a lot of questions from the investors. So,
Yeah, they could expand.
especially because the investors can get the financial reports too, and they're looking at it and go, hey, we're there. What are you talking about? Let's get my money back.
We'll go.
So, exactly. All right, so next slide kind of has another screenshots, I believe. Here we go. All right, so you guys have seen the returns. This is always an interesting number to me. It's like, here's the total returns we're hoping over the property based on all the events. So we'll make close to $6 million on that. All right, sensitivity analysis. So if you look at here where it says in place means, I know the numbers are small, I'm sorry, I tried to get as big as I could. That means today, as is, with no changes to the property, when we take over, it needs to stay at an 85% occupancy rate for us to both pay our expenses and pay the debt, right? So the first year you take over, it's always kind of crunch time as you make your changes and you try to fix the property by raising income, lowering expenses, changing management, all that kind of things. Those that work in property management, we've had a few of those over the time. But then at the end of year 1, you can see it start to track down. And these are actually different than this. So these two things aren't really related. So your break-even occupancy, you got to keep it at close to 80. And as you go longer into the deal, it tracks down, which is kind of what you want to see. Year 3, we stabilize out at 73%, and then 70% to keep the building running, or the business plan running. So, which is great when you have 90 units and stuff like that. I will tell you, here's the key. Everybody likes agency debt. Does anybody know what agency debt is? We probably do. We've probably heard this. So agency debt is working directly with the Fannie Mae's of the world to pull your loan. They usually have lower interest rates than the banks do anyway. So we work with government agencies, agency debt. They won't give us a loan unless we get 90% occupancy or better, typically. So that's why in deals like this, we work really hard to keep it above 90. So, but we do know that if things start tracking the wrong way, this helps us too with when we want to fix things, turn units and stuff like that. It's time to renovate. We got to renovate 90 units. Well, we have to keep the occupancy at such and such. We can't just take all the units offline and not do rent for a month or two. So that's what that kind of helps with too. And then to answer the cap rate question from earlier, here's kind of what we have in terms of net operating income and how to track down over the course of the years. We hope in year 3 we'll get to the 5.8%. Hope, but it's not perfect. In 5 years, if we can get down to here, that's even better because that's 0.2 percentage points that raise the value of the property, which is fantastic. So, and as you can see, the LP returns track up as these numbers track down, which is kind of the corresponding investor return if we get the cap rate down that far. So we took a middle of the road cap rate from year 3 and said, okay, that'll be the return. That's telling your investors it's conservative. So we hope we'll get down in here, but we're going to average it out and say it's the middle one. So the 5.8%, the bolded one. Sorry, keep your number sheets looking at it from online, not seeing me point. So that's kind of how that works out. That's some of the sensitivity analysis you see. I left off all the interest rate type of stuff. That's, it's kind of easy to understand. This is the business plan. I won't talk about that too much, but that's a great way to look at it. Say, here's where the money's going to go for the remodel and such.
What's a good number to see for a contingency?
That's kind of driven by lender rules, insurance rules, that type of thing. The lender can require X percentage. The team might require some extra percentages. So, hey, if the lender requires 10, the team says we should keep 3% on top of that. There you go. So, because as you renovators know, guess what? It's always perfectly on budget, always perfectly on time, isn't it?
But that's
Exactly.
I'm a little sensitive about that right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So contingencies, when you're doing 90 units slowly over the course of 2 years, at 3 or 4 units at a time, which is kind of what this number is telling you. We're going to get 3 to 4 units per month turned, so we don't want to take them all offline.
So it's rented when you take it over.
So are you like, you're just gonna start with the vacant ones, like maybe 3 or 4 at a time, you're just gonna go with the vacant ones?
Right.
And then when those are online, what kind of a bump on rent are you gonna be able to secure?
So this is going to sound crazy. So the average rent bump looks like $63 per month.
Okay, there it is. I didn't see it.
Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Like, you did all that for $63 a month?
Times 90.
Times 90 times 12. Mm-hmm. So that's an extra, I want to say, what, $60,000 a year, 65, somewhere in there. And so the course, now imagine you take $65,000 and divide it by our exit cap rate. Anybody want to do that? I see someone's got their phone out.
So dividing it by that rate?
Take $60,000 and divide it by 5.8%. We're going to have a class lesson right here on the fly. This is never a good idea when you're briefing, but we'll try it.
Does 1.17 million sound like the right
So
ballpark?
that's $63 increase in rent, up my property value by what million?
$1.173
million.
Yeah.
There you go. It looks crazy. You say, you did that for $63? No, I did that for $1.2 million.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And think of it this way. If I reduce my expenses by $63 a month per apartment, I get the same exact thing happen. Same exact thing.
Oh.
It's about the net operating income, right? I either increase my income, make more $60,000, or I decrease my expenses, thus creating more $60,000 in my net operating income.
Or you increase the price on the laundry facilities.
Extra quarter, there we go. Who loves to show up and go, that's an extra quarter now.
Let's do the math.
All right. So I'll try to wrap this up because we're getting there. So the last part here is what a 100K investor payout would look like for this particular deal. So sell you 8%. This is what you expect over the course of 5 years. You're going to get $40,000 back of your 100. And then from the sale, there's an additional $57,000 to you, and then we'll also return your initial investment of $100,000, making your total payout down there in the lower right-hand corner $197,000. So it's kind of a double up to a sense. But
So you're not getting much.
no, in terms of cash flow, not front, but so it's meant to kind of be passive over time, right? So those are all every year. Those are yearly columns. So you divide that by 12 and get your monthly if you need to. But the distributions are typically quarterly, so they'll wrap up into 4s divided by 4.
Got it. That's beyond your original investment. Or that includes your original investment.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, include your original investment.
Okay, so you made 97.
Yeah, you made $97,000.
Got it.
All right. So how do you get going as a limited partner? Thank you for zooming in on that, by the way. That was a good deal. Oh, it's okay.
Don't worry. I got it.
You got me. I love it. All right, so the first thing you need to do is get deal access. Usually that involves joining some sort of investor club, getting to know people that are involved in this kind of stuff, and just talking to them about what they do. Learn for yourself. Ask them the pointed question, ask them the hard questions. Tell them to send you deals. Tell them you're interested. Hey, I want to invest at this level. They'll work with you. I mean, the best thing you can do is come up with your investment goals. How much, what do I want to invest in, what am I comfortable with, and then they will pass things, hopefully, in that investor box for you. If they're giving you things outside that investor box, they're probably not listening too well, but that's a whole other ball of wax. So yeah, get deal access. We do this kind of stuff where we email out to investors. We have Investor Club, which is basically essentially getting an email, either like a newsletter monthly, or when a new deal comes online, you'll get an instant notification of that, those types of things. So you sit there, get a chance to review it, ask questions, and decide whether or not you're going to invest from there. So once you're ready, you can sign documentation, say, yep, I'm going to invest, transfer the money, and then you just sit back and wait. So that's pretty much all the work you really have to do. Make a decision, or somebody gets to make a decision, sign paperwork, deposit the money, done. So that's the simplistic part of it. Any questions on that? Oh, actually, if you are interested in kind of learning on the side, I may have mentioned this earlier, maybe not. We do offer referral programs. We, and like a lot of other people do, like most people at Bird Dog for you, like, hey, send me an investor. Great, if they invest $250,000 or $100,000, generally that refer gets 1% to 2% of what the investor invested, as long as they closed on the deal. So just like all the people that, you know, hey, find me a house, go do my searching for me. They get a fee for that.
That's a wholesaling, right?
Sort of, yeah. So if people send you investors, I mean, why would they send you investors if they don't get anything in return? It'd be kind of crazy. It's not good business either. So yeah, I mean, why not? I talked to a lot of sponsors, and a lot of teams offer this kind of stuff. So not completely uncommon. So if you can invest, but you still want to be around the business and figure it out and get to know people, that's a fantastic way to do it and make money at the same time. So
Thank you for giving us that opportunity.
not just me, a lot of people do it. So, but yeah, it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun.
So I think the big difference that I'm seeing between syndications and private money lending is the security, right? So as a fellow private money lender, we're usually in first or second position with a lien against the property, where if things go south, worst case scenario happens, we can take the property or our portion thereof.
Right.
With syndications, what is the recourse for an investor if things go south?
That's spelled out in the documentation. There's usually, I mean, it's an investment. They brief the risk up front, so there's usually not a lot of recourse if you lose all your money. Which goes back to the foot stomping, pick the team correctly. So, because not only are you I mean, for first timers, because we're talking about intro, right? For first timers, you know, honestly, most of the questions come from first timers because they're just not familiar with the process. There's not a lot of trust there yet, which is totally fair. I totally get that. And you have all the right in the world to ask as many questions as you want to get comfortable with the person mainly. Because honestly, you can probably make money on most deals, but you got to have a good team and trust that team to do it for you. So inevitably, you're going to have to build trust with somebody in your network to help you with this the first time out the gate. So that's where it becomes important to have a conversation all the time. And the more you reach out, the more opportunities you have for syndication deals, because remember we talked about the one syndication where you had to have a pre-existing relationship. So how does that work exactly? Like, I met her today. So, you know, if she wants to be in a syndication that we're working on, I can't give it to her today. I can't even talk to her about it today. So, you know, we talk, maybe talk about her investment goals, whatever, and then usually about a 30-day cooling off period, and you know, we can talk more about specifics in terms of like an investment that's a 506B. So
If she's not accredited.
I don't know if she is or not. I'm just using that as an example.
If you
So
didn't know.
Yeah.
right, I had no idea.
And that's like, I don't think there's, it's weird because I'm part of 3 different non-accredited. One of them was, I have to have a conversation with you and you have to wait 30 days. It was like a hard 30 days. Another one was, we had a conversation, we're good. Another one was, you watched a webinar, you did an email, you're good.
Right.
So it's, they just
So
have to
there's
kind of know.
contact isn't necessarily face to face. It could be an email, it could be a text message, that type of thing. But the point is, we're trying to protect ourselves from the SEC. That's really what it boils down to. And so if you never get audited, never, you know, basically if the deal goes bad, they're going to come in and check everything, and that's going to be one of the things they check. So, you know, I don't expect a deal to go bad, and that's why we work with the people that we do. However, you know, or you have an investor that just is out to get you. I don't know what you would call it. Not happy, wants their money back, wants it out now versus waiting the 5-year, all kinds of things. So, you know, those people that can kind of twist things on you, like, hey, we didn't do the 30-day, you know, you told me and I didn't get it, you know, those types of things. You can run into those types of things, which is why we kind of work through those types of protections. So basically, just talk to people about it, get to know them, and by definition, you'll probably have a chance to get their emails, see what they have, those types of things before it goes public, like I said in the other one where we advertise it to the world, but that's accredited investors only once that's done. So, any questions on that?
I have a question, but
Yes,
moving
ma'am.
up towards that, how do you find your deals? So obviously, there's states you don't look in, but how do you come across those deals?
This is an excellent question, by the way, because this goes down to teamwork and breaking the division of labor out. So me and my wife, we work on the capital raising thing. So we don't actually go out and find deals or work with brokers. That's somebody else's job to do all that. And then there's somebody else. So we got a deal finder, typically. We have we call boots on the ground, oftentimes because they'll be there locally working with the brokers, have that relationship, and they'll get the deal. Or at least get a look at the deal, either before it goes on market or after market. Then we have a sponsor. Sponsor's the guy that typically will sign a loan. He's part of the management team.
Hi.
Oh, see ya.
Bye.
He's the guy that signs on the $10 million loan we're gonna take out. So he has his assets to do that, and maybe it's two sponsors sometimes that will make up enough assets to make that happen. You have your asset manager, where's my property manager? You're the property manager, right?
Well, yeah,
But you own it.
yeah.
So, okay, that's
But
the
I worked here locally
Right.
with a property management company, a couple different ones, but it didn't last long, so, but
There's-
I got.
Okay.
go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, there's usually on a team of a lot of us, like when we're on this 90 unit, we're gonna have an asset manager team or an asset manager himself. And he manages the property manager, who manages the property. So the asset manager is responsible for business execution, making sure the metrics are right, briefing the team on problems, issues, because he's the one with the relationship, day-to-day relationship with the property management, things are going wrong, stuff like that. Keynote about an asset manager. They're the only ones that typically have a guaranteed payment during syndication on the management team, because they're the ones that are working hard day to day with the property manager, executing the business plan and making sure everybody, the whole deal gets paid overall. It's not that the rest of us are sitting back doing nothing. Like capital raisers will typically work with investors. Their questions, their emails, phone calls, make sure the K1s come out, which is your annual statement for your taxes, or annual documentation for your taxes, kind of a big deal, things like that. So we work with that kind of stuff. So.
With the property managers, do you like hire a property management company and so they have other properties and portfolios? That they're
Correct.
managing?
Usually properties aren't so big that they only
Have that.
one
Yeah,
property
right.
management company running them. So
Yeah, what I've learned with like investing in property management, like 90% of property management, if not more, is just maintaining, the properties, getting on repairs right away, and just keeping the tenants happy. So, but it's mainly maintenance. That's a huge thing. If the property manager drags
Right.
the butt on certain things, then that can really cause problems.
we do quite an assessment and interview process on our property managers that we bring in. Because like you indicated, customer service has a lot to do with whether or not the tenants stay. The biggest loss of money in a commercial deal is usually the tenant not staying or turnover. So if you can keep them happy, keep them there. Every time the tenant leaves, you go in there, you have to do modifications, maybe clean up, whatever it is.
Right.
It could be a month, maybe 2 months before you get someone back in there.
Right.
To interview. So there's 1-2 months of lost income on a unit that you could have had if you had better customer service. That's why they leave. So having that, big deal. If for no matter what level you're playing at, single family homes, duplexes, 90 units, doesn't matter. Keeping those tenants there is a big deal. So absolutely. Yes, sir.
I missed at the beginning, you were talking about an organization that you met your mentor, Eric.
Right.
It's,
Yep. Yeah, it was we found him through the Rod Cleef organization, what we call it, the Warrior program. He's based out of Florida. So that's how we did our initial, hey, we need a mentor. So we found someone that was doing it, and we're doing it the way we wanted to, in terms of because we're big on family. Some of the programs out there that I noticed, and then do your own research because everybody has a different vibe that they like to work with, okay? This program allowed us to stay in after the program officially ended, type thing. So they'll hey, 2 years and you'll be all trained up, type of deal. How about we maintain the relationships after the fact? And so they allow everybody hangs out together. We have twice a year we go down and all meet together. I think Phoenix is in October, right? It's Phoenix, right? And we just came out of Sarasota last month, so it's fun. We just get together, hang out, talk real estate, make deals with each other. The team, believe it or not, what do we got? How many people are on that program now?
1,600?
Yeah, so there's a lot of teams and there are a lot of people you can team with all over the United States. All levels of experience, all kinds of different asset types. You got people doing anything from parking lots, assisted living, multifamily, storage, conversions, hotels, everything. So whatever you're interested in, you can usually find someone that's going to do it. Industrial. Orsor's got a guy, he's big into this Port of Savannah. He's a pretty funny guy. His name's John too, actually. He's a good guy with industrial. But yeah, so that's all about mentorship, and there's coaching, like you guys are talking about offering and stuff like that. That's a big deal because people just don't know how to do stuff sometimes. And if you're new, to be fair in any aspect of life, this is a personal opinion on sharing personal stuff. You gotta pay to play sometimes, or pay to speed up. If you want to speed things up, you need to pay to do that. It's kind of natural, unless you look into it and have somebody that's in your circle that can just help you out. It doesn't mind doing that. So, but if you don't, you're gonna probably pay to play or pay for speed is what we kind of call it. The mentorship program, or having a mentor at all, speeds you up because you don't make as many mistakes that you have to recover from. So that's kind of a key indicator. So we decided that we would like to make fewer mistakes, and so we made the investment and did all that, which is why I think mentorship is always a big deal. Kind of learned that in the military. I was an instructor for a lot of years, and yeah, those kids needed a lot of instructing. So knowing what to do and when to do it is a big deal. But, that's my military coming out. Sorry. What else you guys got? Any other questions? Oh, we made it easy on me today. Didn't ask any hard number questions either. I'm not the math guy, which is great. Fantastic. Thank you everybody for coming to share.
Thank you.
I'll be around. So if you have any more questions after the fact, or our contact information is on the Meetup, or here on the sheet, and or I can get it afterwards. So I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards, or we could talk about, sending stuff to you guys if you guys want to do that, just to stay informed more than anything else. So, yeah. You bet, absolutely.
I have a question.
Oh, she has cool business cards too, which usually I do my electronic ones. She has